as well?
Yeah, it'll be in the chat. Hey, everybody. You have David Abrams here along with this week's special guest, Jon Mac. What's going on, John?
Hey, David. How are you?
Doing awesome. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us today. It's a little bit of a different format here. Typically, we have on webcams, but John decided not to wear pants to the interview, so we don't have our webcams on. I'm just kidding. But we don't have our webcams on, so we'll just do audio. Just give me a, hey, what's going on in the chat if you guys can hear us, and you see the nice, probably blurry graphic here because I uploaded a really low resolution graphic for some reason. Yeah, just type in chat, guys. We got our public chat on. I want to know what's going on. Hey, Carlos, what's up, man?
Hey, Carlos, how are you?
Yeah, guys, this is going to be all public chat. Go ahead, chime in. We have a really, really amazing story today from John. Super excited to take you through this all. But that being said, seeing as we have a pretty large show, we can say hello to everyone. Hey, Prophet, Randy.
Nice to see you guys.
Mary, what's going on? How are you doing? But while we kind of wait for everyone to kind of come in right now, I know we'll probably have some late people come in. Why don't, John, you start off by giving just a brief intro about yourself, where you're at right now, and then we'll kind of jump into your story on how you made it here.
Yeah, definitely. So right now, the main focus is our new e-commerce platform called CommerceHQ. We can talk about a lot more in detail later on during the call, but that's definitely where most of my time is going right now. I do have a pretty extensive team in the Philippines who runs all of our e-commerce stores. Half of them are on Shopify, half of them are on CommerceHQ. And again, we can talk about that more a bit later. But that's really the two sides of the business on the store side. And then, of course, I also do coaching and consulting. I teach people exactly how to build up a brand new store, start their business, run Facebook ads, the fulfillment process, the back end, which is equally as important, I think, as the front end. I also teach and coach and consult on that as well. So those are really the two businesses that I'm heavily invested in at the moment.
That's pretty amazing. And just kind of a little brief background. I had the lucky opportunity to meet and kind of follow John. What was it, like 4 years ago that we were kind of hanging out?
Yeah, I was down in Tampa. I remember that. Yeah,
so it was a while ago. And then we were at Don's mastermind a couple of years ago. So I've been following your journey for quite some time, and it's been it's pretty amazing to see your growth and your trajectory over like this journey that you've had. And I know a little bit about your background, how you got started and all that stuff, but I think for everyone, they would probably love to know how you got in this position that you now have multiple 7-figure e-commerce stores. You have a really large SaaS project that you're working on in CommerceHQ, how you're coaching, consulting. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that you were just getting started, right?
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty incredible. The entire industry, e-commerce has just blown up really since I think 2012, 2013. I think a lot of the guys like myself started coming out with courses and started teaching how to run Facebook ads, use Teespring and sell shirts. I would imagine that most people now probably started on Teespring or a similar t-shirt fulfillment platform. Hey, David, I've got some people saying, just before we continue, guys, I've got some people saying they can't get on. Can you pass me the link again?
Yeah, I'm going to get you the link right now. I'm just getting someone just wrote in that they couldn't get their join link. Let me send this to you in the coordinator chat. So this is the link to the registration page. Anyone that registers there will be automatically put in the room here.
Perfect. Thanks. Awesome. Thanks a lot. So let's continue. So yeah, are you guys getting feedback on the mic, or does it sound okay?
Might be me. I have my volume pretty high, so I'm gonna turn my mic off when you talk, so you don't get feedback.
Cool. Yeah. So Teespring. Let's start there. So it's just like you were saying, David. The trajectory has been so rapid. Just 3 or so years ago, in September 2013, I started there with Teespring, like a lot of other people, and right out of the gate, I can tell you, it was a lot easier back then. There was a lot less competition. Facebook ads, which was so much simpler and easier to run right off the bat. Back then, with Facebook ads, it was just pretty much CPC. So you would just bid like $1 per click. You would have like $1,000 budget and just let the thing run. It was amazing. And we were selling over 1,000 shirts per week. So that was really, really profitable, a lot of fun, and really opened my eyes into this world of e-commerce, because before that, I came from a CPA and affiliate marketing background. So for a few years before that, I was running a lot of dating offers and diet offers and offers for other people who owned their own products or services. So I kind of cut my teeth on that. I learned about the industry and how to market and sell online. When I found Teespring, I really could see the potential for it to be a massive business, because look, obviously everyone wears t-shirts. And I think there's a lot of other types of products out there now people are selling that are so huge to such a big, wide demographic that this is going to be a massive, stable business for a long time to come. So with Teespring, we did that for 2 years, and it was pretty incredible. I was actually in a lot of debt before Teespring, about a $50K worth of debt I had to get out of. And within 2 years, we did over $1 million in profit just on Teespring alone. So that was a pretty incredible explosion into the world of e-commerce for myself, to see the potential and the opportunity of this business. And then after that, guys, I moved to Shopify. I started hearing about the ability to create your own store, have your own domain, have your own brand. And that really appealed to me, because the biggest issue with Teespring and the shirt platforms was, at that time, you couldn't control the customer data. You didn't have access to it. You didn't have access to the funnel. You couldn't control what happened before or after the sale. It was very limited in that way. It was nice that they did all the back-end stuff like customer service and fulfillment, but it was very limited in the fact that you weren't really building your own business. You were building Teespring's business. And that kind of irked me, and I said, look, there's got to be a better way. So I moved to Shopify in April 2015.
Before
David, you still there?
Yeah. I mute my audio just so you don't get any feedback. But
oh, cool.
Just a question for you. So you kind of came from this CPA background. You got into t-shirt selling pretty fast, and then you kind of had an issue there. Now, I guess one of the things I want to ask is, when you had this shift from CPA to Teespring, you had great success selling t-shirts. I know you did. You were doing amazing stuff. What do you think, like, one of your key takeaways was, besides just, I guess, your previous early knowledge of basic CPC Facebook advertising? What do you think that, like, kind of maybe some key takeaways that you took from that whole era? Because I think from my perspective, t-shirt sellers, besides just knowing how to run Facebook ads, got really good at a couple of things, and that was understanding how to advertise, understanding who their customers was, like understanding creative ideas to target people. So maybe you could talk about some of those key things before you move forward in the story.
Definitely. Well, I think mindset is probably the biggest thing, because even today when I coach and consult with people, a lot of people out there just don't have the grit, the tenacity, the will, and the determination to stick with it. I think a lot of people run into roadblocks and they just stop or they give up, right? So I think what I learned mostly from the CPA affiliate marketing world was that, you have to test a ton of different campaigns and constantly be testing to find one good thing that works and then scale that to the moon. It's the same for today. But that back then, it's really a mindset thing. So the biggest difference was, I was okay spending money on data. A lot of people would think, oh, you're just wasting ad spend. You're not making any money back. It's a failed campaign. The way I looked at it back then was actually, this is all media buying. Whether you're buying ads on Plenty of Fish, which is what I was doing with dating offers way back then, or you're buying ads on Facebook or Google, you're buying media. You're basically a media buyer, right? So at that point, I knew that I was buying data, and it was an investment in my business. I was learning what did and didn't work. So that whole mindset really set me up in a good position to run Teespring, because I already knew, okay, obviously everybody wears shirts. I know that people have these huge, massive t-shirt campaigns. They're selling thousands of shirts. This stuff works. I just have to crack it. So having that mindset, going in there with Facebook ads, constantly testing new campaigns and new shirt designs, and finally finding a winner here and there and scaling it up, I think that made a huge difference in my success with Teespring, coming from or learning from the CPA and affiliate marketing world.
That's awesome. Do you think that the CPA world kind of positioned you to understand like how to connect with people the right way for your advertising?
Well, it's funny because, like I mentioned before, the Facebook Facebook ads back then and in 2013 was a lot easier. So you would just bid on a CPC, cost per click basis, and we were running really simple ads. Like I was run like a fishing shirt, and I would just target people who liked fishing. Like it was very, very easy. I think the thing back then was the design. I think obviously it's still true today, but back then even more. It was all about the t-shirt design, what the shirt said, what it meant, and how it made people feel when they wore it, right? So we had to crack that and understand that with our demographics, who we were targeting to, whether it was males 25 plus or females 65 plus, whatever it was. We had to go look into the marketplace, see what was popular, what was working, and reverse engineer that and come up with our own designs. So understanding, that emotional intent, why these people are buying the shirt, how it makes them feel, and what it tells the world when they're wearing the shirt. That was a huge, huge part of it. And I think coming from a CPA, understanding how to run campaigns, it's like anything, any type of marketing or sales, you're always trying to pull on those heartstrings, those emotions, because emotions is really what makes people buy, right? It's not that they're going to get an amazing deal or this or that. It's always, how does it make them feel? What emotions are happening that's forcing that purchase decision?
So that's super critical information. And I feel like every week we kind of have a kind of circular conversation where we're talking about how important it is to understand the avatar, your customer, the pain points, the emotional connections. So from your perspective, I'm really trying to dig into some nitty-gritty details here. What were you guys doing to get those details? What were you doing to learn some of that customer stuff? Because, I don't care if you're running a SaaS business to a t-shirt business to, Shopify, it doesn't matter. You need to know that stuff. What were you guys typically looking for, or where were you going to find that information?
Absolutely. We still do the same thing today. So it doesn't matter what niche you're in or what marketplace or who your customer is. The best way to find out about them, what they love, what they're into, what they're talking about, I always say magazines, associations, and websites or blogs. So if you go on Google and you start doing Google searches, you're going to kind of go down a rabbit hole and a path that will take you into a lot of different places, very large websites, like I said, magazines, associations, blogs, and you can start, and even forums, and you can start learning about what these people are talking about, what they're interested in. And the best thing to do is find out about the products that they're buying. So the best-selling products, and analyzing those companies, their websites, and really diving deep in that direction. I think that helps in a huge, huge way. And we still do the same thing today when we're entering into new niche or markets.
That's actually a fantastic idea, because by doing it that way, you're already looking at buying habits, and a lot of the things that people are already buying have already done, or maybe you already have some of the information that you need, some of the niche research or the customer demographic research. So that's a fantastic little shortcut there. That's
yeah,
really
and I think for today, other ways, other methods, obviously audience insights is very good. It's built into Facebook. It gives you a great idea of how old they are, if they're male or female, exactly what they're interested in, even how much money they make, their household. Like there's a lot of crazy data that Facebook collects that you can use to your advantage to create campaigns and to understand your demographic more.
Do you actually, when you're running Facebook advertising, do you actually use like household data and like financial income? Is that part of your segments that you make, or is that just data you use to learn about people?
Yeah, I think for higher priced products like $100 plus, you're probably going to want to look at income, salary, and more high end, I would say, customers that you can target. So it depends really on price points. But again, the beautiful thing about this industry, e-commerce, which excited me so much, is that it's so broad and so wide. And now you can even go after the entire world. So worldwide marketing on Facebook is working great. So it's incredible how big the industry is. And obviously, it's growing year over year. And I think there's more than enough room for everyone. But you have to get in there and you have to focus. And that all starts with selecting your niche and really understanding your customer and what they love and what they don't love.
Definitely agree with you.
Mhm.
Now, here we are in your story where you're kind of making this transition. You're a little bit frustrated with Teespring. You've been here for a while. How did you do in Teespring? What were you kind of making in Teespring in this time?
Yeah, so within 2 years, we generated $1 million in profit, which is pretty awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Coming from 50K in debt, it was a huge revelation for me personally. So that was pretty incredible to see the opportunity there. What happened was, sorry?
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to ask what your mental shift was when that happened. I mean, going from 50K in debt to $1 million in profit in 2 years. What did that kind of shift for you in your head or change?
I think the problem is when people are in dire straits or they're not in a good financial position or wherever they're at in their life, they kind of think like, this is it. This is your existence. This is your reality. But that's simply not the case. Everything in life is about mindset and having that shift like you're talking about. So I was lucky. It was the right timing. I applied that knowledge from before and I found success very quickly, right? That doesn't always happen. I was very lucky at it. Of course, you have to work super, super hard at getting there, but that mind shift is critical. So after this happened, you started realizing, wow, the world is such a much bigger place than what you previously thought. And the opportunity is much more immense than what you previously thought. So now you start thinking bigger. And that's really, really key because I work with a lot of people and, I'll be looking at their Facebook ads, trying to help them scale. They're spending $100 a day. I'm like, okay, why don't you spend $1,000 per day? Or if they're spending $1,000 per day, why don't you spend 10 grand per day, et cetera, right? So it's always about thinking bigger because there's always someone else out there doing things much bigger and grander than you are. And I think that's also a motivation and driving force to being more successful in life. It's like friendly competition. So that was very, very big for me to have that huge shift, 50K in debt to $1 million profit. And from there, we started looking at other options. Now how can we build our own business, right? Something that's our own brand that we can actually do an exit on in a few years and sell off, because that was impossible with Teespring.
Let me ask you this question. And this is a question I think I've always struggled with in my own journey. And that is, do you look at taking the short-term approach to making cash, making liquidity? So you made $1 million in 2 years. It wasn't building a real business, but now you had $1 million to turn around into a real business. You could invest it. You could, go with a little more risk. Where you had the kind of shorter term upfront. I've always been the long-term thinker. I've always done long-term, even if there was no short-term benefit. And, I can't say it's always been the best move for me, but how do you feel about that? Do you think you got to go short-term first and then long-term, or does it really matter how you approach things?
I always tell people, if you're starting off in this business, even if you're intermediate, you're trying to get it working, it's always first about paying your bills or quitting your job. That's like step one, right? Once you can actually quit your job, you're going to have so much more time to work on your business. And then you start paying off your bills. Now you're comfortable. You're like, okay, I can survive. I can feed myself. I have my own business running. This is great. Then you can look at scaling things up in a big way. But it is really baby steps. And people can get the problem of thinking too big from day one and being way, way ahead of the game when they're over here. So that also can happen as well.
Yeah. And I mean, I've done it, and I've helped other people when I've seen that as well. All right. So now you're moving on in your journey to wanting to create a business for yourself. Where did you go? What were you looking for?
Yeah, and I'll touch back to that last point as well. A lot of people I've seen from the CPA affiliate marketing world, they will make a ton of money, $1 million, $2 million, whatever, and they'll blow it all. They'll buy Ferraris, they'll buy Lambos, they'll buy fancy houses and all this stuff. And it's crazy to me because I actually see them lose everything within a year. So what I've noticed is it takes a lot longer to earn money than compared to spend it, right? It takes you many, many years to earn and only, a few days or a few months or a year or whatever to spend it all and possibly lose it all. So I think having that investor mindset is huge as well. After you've made a bit of cash, you've done well. Now what are you going to do with it? Because look, the gravy train's not always going to be around, right? Things are not always going to be good. You have to look to the future and secure yourself for years to come. So how do you do that? You reinvest, like you were mentioning. So we looked outside of Teespring. We're like, look, we got to build our own business. We have to build our own company, our own brand. What can we do? So we found Shopify. It started getting really popular. We started in April 2015, and all we did was we moved all of our best-selling t-shirt campaigns from Teespring over to our own Shopify store. And since April 2015, just on the Shopify stores alone, we've generated over $7 million revenue, and that's across multiple stores.
That's incredible. $7 million. That's incredible, man. Congratulations on all of that. Now, so you made these, like, I can just see it in my head, these like little journeys, little steps in the journey that you made. The step probably getting into CPA, the step you made being successful in CPA, the step you made to t-shirt selling from $50K in debt to $1 million profit, to building your own business to $7 million in profit. What lessons did you learn from the $1 million to $7 million now that you are in your own business? Now, because I think CPA, affiliate marketing, and t-shirt marketing, that's all. There's a lot of skill set you need to know. You need to have, the advertising, the audience stuff down, but there wasn't really necessarily the need for maybe internal business skill sets. What was there a big transition there, or what kind of things did you have to adjust to and learn?
Yeah, absolutely huge. I still know people who do really well at Teespring and the t-shirt platforms. And the reason they won't move is because they're too scared to deal with customer service and fulfillment. Now, I can tell you it's a lot easier to get the sale using Facebook ads to generate sales and do the front end marketing, sales, and all that than it is to manage a back end. I've seen many, many large stores go down the drain very quickly because they let their back end really just go to hell. And they got tons of chargebacks and refunds and nightmares. So I always tell people I work with, my clients and students, you have to look at both equally, the front end and back end. That was the biggest learning curve for us when we moved from from Teespring to Shopify. Is like, wow, now we have to actually deal with customers. We have to talk to them, make sure they're happy, make sure we're fulfilling as quickly as possible and getting them that product and keeping the sale. Because look, you can make sales all day long, but the customer can easily dispute or refund or charge back and you lost that sale. So now that you made all this money and all these sales, how do you keep it? And the way to do that is by making sure your customers are happy. So that was the biggest jump for me, doing the 2 years in Teespring and then 2 years in Shopify. That learning curve, dealing with the back end, was huge.
Okay, knowing that, what kind of tips, suggestions, ideas would you give to people, especially like, and I'm just using this to learn myself. Yep. We are always looking at ways to reduce churn, increase customer engagement, have the actual metrics that matter, have people utilize the products or get more enjoyment or come back for longer retention. What things were you guys doing? What kind of metrics were you looking at? What was the important things there?
Well, I think it's, sorry?
Obviously you're still doing it. I said, what metrics are still important, I guess?
Yeah, so there's really two parts to that. When you have stores running, you're dealing with a lot of customers, and I don't think it's helpful to deal with those customers on a one-on-one basis yourself too much. I always say outsource customer service to people who are really experienced with customers already, coming from much larger companies in the past few years. Get them on board, train them up, and get them doing customer service for you, because when you're selling $20 products or even $50 products or whatever, you're going to get a lot of people who are upset, who aren't patient, who expect delivery times the same as Amazon, and they can be pretty nasty. And you don't really need that negativity in your life or in your business. So I always say on the store side, outsource customer service and fulfillment as soon as possible. As soon as you start seeing success and start to scale, just outsource that stuff. You don't want to be doing it yourself. Now, it's different on the SaaS business model side, right? If you're building a software like Demio or like CommerceHQ, you need to be having conversations with your customers almost daily, or at least weekly, and really getting feedback on them or from them and how you can make and build this thing better and just give them exactly what they're looking for.
Definitely. And for those of you guys who are on this call who are Demio customers, I'm on support or on calls with you guys all the time. So I totally agree. I think from a SaaS perspective, it's absorb as much information as you can from users, prospects, learn about the audience, learn about the niche, be on the phone all day if you have to. So important. But I guess, okay, so first of all, I think the customer support thing is still important, even if you are in SaaS. I think once you get to a certain level, you'll need qualified support people.
Yeah.
What type of things are you doing to, kind of kick up retention or get people to come back, increase lifetime value on stores? Anything kind of cool or any unique tips you have there?
Yeah, you definitely want to segment your customer database. So we like to go into Facebook audiences. We like to go into our email list. We like to start segmenting people who spend a lot more compared to everyone else. It's typically the top 20%. We'll segment them out. We'll treat them in a different way than people only, come and buy one time, and that's it. So you have to have different messages and different approaches to each segment of your customer database. And you can do a lot of cool things there. People who spend a ton on your store, you can just send them a free gift or a letter saying, thank you for shopping with us. We appreciate you as a customer, et cetera, et cetera. On the lower end, if they just come once and buy, you can get them back to the store by bribing them with discounts and coupons or 2-for-1 or something, some sort of promotion. You can get them back to buy again. But you have to definitely segment out your list and your Facebook audiences and give them different messages.
Any tools you're using in particular to segment, whether it's email or retargeting?
Yep, exactly.
And any specific tools that you use? And any specific tools that you actually run those with?
Not really. On the email side, Infusionsoft, ActiveCampaign, both are good. We're actually considering building out our own autoresponder with automation into CommerceHQ. I can talk about that a bit later, which should be pretty fun. But definitely those two I prefer. And then on the custom audience side for Facebook, we just do it right in Power Editor. We don't mess with any third-party apps with Facebook.
Awesome. So here we are. You've done $7 million in sales in Shopify, and now you're taking another step.
Yeah.
Why? What step is that? Where are you at now in the journey?
Yeah, well, it's funny when you look at the whole journey, it seems like things happen in 2-year increments, like big jumps, right? 2 years in Teespring, 2 years in Shopify, and then really just 2 years since we started the idea with CommerceHQ. So if we go back to the Shopify, we did really well, 7 million generated since we started. We still were having issues. So the thing with Shopify, the way it's built, is they really rely on third-party developers to evolve or improve their platform, right? So Shopify's interface is actually, I think, over 10 years old. Obviously, they've done some design changes and whatnot, but they're really relying and pushing other developers, third-party, to build it out, make it better, new features, et cetera, et cetera. The problem with this is when you're connecting to multiple third-party servers, and you have a lot of different code going on. I'm not super technical with this, but what we experienced with Shopify when we were building out our own themes and trying to build out our own apps was that a lot of these third-party apps would actually break the store. They would break the add to cart or the checkout, or they would slow down the product page to where it would take forever to load. We couldn't do one-click upsells after the checkout. We couldn't customize the checkout. There's a lot of things we wanted to do and control that we were really, really limited to doing with Shopify. So that was really the first part. And that wasn't just me as well. I had a mastermind, and a lot of people were echoing the same thing because people started building out their own themes, their own apps, and they were really going in a more custom direction. And the whole reason for that was to get higher conversion rates and higher average order value, right, in many, many different ways. So we found that, my friends, the masterminds, found that as well. And we all talked and we're like, look, what would you guys think if we actually had a new e-commerce platform built from scratch, built to convert, built for higher average order value? And it seems like everybody was into it. It was a great idea. So I had a friend named Vlad in Toronto, and Vlad is actually on the call right now. So hi, Vlad. Vlad is extremely experienced and has extensive skills with software development. He actually built out his own e-commerce store for himself, all custom from the ground up. That's all custom software. So he already had a lot of experience in that realm. And also he came from the affiliate and CP marketing world and ran tons and tons of Facebook ads and spent millions of dollars on that side. So it was actually a perfect match, as he was strong where I was weak and vice versa. So we came together, we talked. They thought we were totally crazy. They're like, look, you're taking on Goliath here. Shopify is a public company. They have billions of dollars. They've been around for 10 years, et cetera, et cetera. How are you going to get any piece of the market share? So that's kind of where that started and why we started moving away from Shopify and started coming up with our own platform.
Yeah, and by the way, say hey to Vlad, everybody who's in here in chat. But I think there's a couple cool things I think you mentioned. One of which is finding a great kind of partner when you're getting into this next step, especially with software. For any of you guys in software, thinking of software, like finding co-founders who can really fit where you're weak and where you can be strong where they're weak. You want to find obviously great synergy. But you also did something early on. You did customer validation. I think one of the things that a lot of people do incorrectly that I think you guys did interestingly is a lot of people go to their friends or just colleagues and bring up the idea of the problem. They say, hey, here's the problem that we have. Here's what I think would be cool. And their friends or colleagues are like, yeah, it's a good idea. It sounds like a cool idea. There's no real validation there. It's just someone kind of, saying yes or no, it's a cool idea. But you guys had real customers there. You guys had people that already paid. You heard from their mouths the pain and problems that they had. They kind of validated what the problems were, and then you guys were able to conclude that the idea was worth it. So,
absolutely,
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, this was the best part about it, and really helped us solidify the idea and put a massive investment into it and move forward for several years to come. Was that in this mastermind group, talking with these guys, we started to design the software, how it's going to look, how it's going to function. We started showing them screenshots. I had a live event in Toronto, and Vlad helped present that software with the screenshots to these people. And we actually generated over $100,000 in investment just the first year. So we actually bought the domain in September 2015, commercehq.com, started building it out, got $100K in investment, basically in pre-sales. People wanted this so badly, they were willing to pay up front for access that might have taken, another year just to get the software to get into the beta version. So that was huge for us. That really told us like, wow, this is definitely a solid idea. It's going to move forward. People want this, so we're going to build it. And that helped in a huge, huge way.
What was the tactical approach, I should say, that you took to get pre-sale orders? How did you guys come up with a price point? How did you guys raise awareness on it when you didn't have the product yet? What were you doing for the pre-sale?
Yeah, so we had I had my mastermind with some very high-level marketers in there. These guys are doing 6-7 figures, even one guy doing 8 figures with the Shopify stores. And we had the live event in Toronto. We presented the idea to them. We showed them screenshots. We're like, look, if you want to get in on this and help us build this thing out and fund it and give us feedback and tell us what you want, put forward $2,800, and that will give you a few years unlimited access to the software, unlimited stores, all your apps, all your themes, everything built in. So that $100K in investment came from those people, and they're super lucky because they got an incredible deal, especially now if you compare it to Shopify. They're moving up their prices. I think for 3 stores, it's going to be like $2,500 a month, which is just insane. And it goes all the way up to like $50,000 a month or something ridiculous. But that's how we started getting investment and started proving out this business model. And that was a huge, huge help, because that really, beyond just obviously the financial aspect of helping to fund the project, it really just proved to us and to people that we all want this, obviously for ourselves and for our customers.
Right. And a lot of times in the SaaS world, you have the MVP, which is your minimum viable product, which just sounds like your guys' MVP was the screenshots you guys were talking about, your mind, what you wanted to build, which is great. And then you also had an MEVP, the minimum economical viable product. So that's the proof of what your baseline has to be to actually get paid for it. Now, you can do this, guys, across the board in different businesses, but these validation ideas are extremely important to understanding that you have a product and a product market fit that's working correctly. So it sounds like you had your MEVP, you're getting paid for it, you had pre-sales, and we did the same thing for Demio. We did a video, basically like a video with screenshots and stuff like that for our pre-sales.
Nice.
And So now you're going. Where are you guys now on the journey with CommerceHQ? Where are you?
Yeah, well, so after that, we got the domain in September 2015. And then about a year later in November 2016, so last year, we started doing private beta launches just internally with my list. And that's all we've really done until now. So in about 5 months, we have over 200 beta users, and they've all paid $1,000 for their first year access, which includes up to 6 stores, all the apps they need, themes, and one-click upsells.
That's awesome. And I think for you guys, like the results of the stores are going to speak for really what you guys can do. How is it going with the students? How people enjoying beta? What have you learned from beta?
We learned a ton. Vlad has been incredible on the support side. He manages the entire dev team, and he talks to our clients and customers on a daily basis. So we're constantly getting feedback from them and what they want, what they like, what they don't like, and what new apps they want to see on the software. Right. So that's a huge, huge help. And it's been incredible. I've had a lot of people come to me and say, look, we simply just moved over our domain and our products from Shopify to CommerceHQ, and our conversion rate has doubled. So wow, it's amazing when you hear stories like that. It just tells you like, look, this thing actually works. It's not just for us, but for a lot of people. So when you start to see the success on a broad spectrum across, tens of 20s of thousands of people, it's going to help in a big, big way to push it even further. And we want to give people the most amount of value possible. So we really want to look and see like, look, what do most people want in the software? And if most people want it, we're most likely going to build it in. But we want to give them the absolute maximum value compared to anything else on the marketplace. So it's going to be like a one-stop shop. You'd be able to do anything in CommerceHQ eventually. Obviously build stores, you'll be able to build funnels, membership areas, continuity programs. We want it just one central hub where you don't need any other pieces of software, except for maybe Demio.
Of course you need Demio. Everyone needs Demio. Now, let me ask you this, because and this may even be Vlad answering in chat, because this is a tough problem. And the problem is you guys have a really great grand vision, and it's beautiful to hear. It's amazing to hear. It's you guys are hungry. You guys know what you want. You know the product. You know the pain point. But that's a lot to build. You guys are talking about years of development work, each of them learning from the customers to build it the right way, because each one will have competition, stuff like that. How are you guys finding the balance between your patience of what you want to do with your vision and having to actually build it? Because I found just myself in SaaS, that's one of the hardest things.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very tough. It's definitely the long game, and I think you obviously know this as well. And a lot of people don't have this this skill in their life or this ability to really have patience and wait. Good things will come. The harder you work, the longer you wait, the better it's going to be. You don't want to rush things like this. I see a lot of people out there trying to build other e-commerce platforms. They're using WordPress. They're using other things that just are not going to work on a big scale. And they come and go. They have little launches, they putter out, and that's it. Because they're not spending the time. They're not having the patience or the tenacity or grit to stick in there for a long, long time. SaaS software like this, like you said, is many, many years long. We've already been in this with CommerceHQ for 2 years, and I expect it's going to be another 3, 4, maybe even 5 years before it's totally, totally blown up. So, who knows what's going to happen, but as you know from my journey, it looks like every 2 years there's a huge jump, and I think we're seeing the same thing now with CommerceHQ. Just 2 years ago coming up with the idea, now being in beta with over 200 users.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, well, let me ask you this. You're really big into mindset, you said earlier. Where do you develop, where do you grow and harness the patience, the tenacity, the grit to be a great entrepreneur, to kind of go through these moments of the long term, the journey? How do you get through that when you have the overwhelm of the day to day?
Yeah, you can't do it alone. I think family is very, very important. Whether you're single or you're married or whatever, you need to have a support system in place to really help you personally and emotionally get through the tough times. But obviously, the number one most important thing, guys, is having a business partner. It doesn't matter if you have a business partner on a store or on a SaaS software. Having someone to bounce ideas off of or having someone like my business partner Vlad, where we run into a problem, we run into a situation where I'm like, hey, we have this problem. What are we going to do? We brainstorm on it, and we're able to find a solution so much faster. And I think that's critical in having someone there to actually discuss these things with, to push forward. Because there's always been roadblock over roadblock, but no matter what happens, we always find a way to get around it or push through it.
And what lessons would you take from this journey so far? I mean, it's still so, I mean, like we talk about these journeys like they're so long, but really for your journey, it's only what, like 6 years? I mean, that's not really that long. But what would you take as your kind of key lessons that you can look on now and reflect on to move forward into?
Yeah, I think patience is the number one thing. Nothing's going to happen overnight. You're not going to be a multimillionaire, billionaire overnight, obviously. It takes time. It takes hard work. It takes grit. And like Vlad just said in the comments, you have to be crazy. Like when we first came out with this idea of CommerceHQ, people are like, you're crazy. That's never going to work. You're never going to build it out. We're not just interested in helping you fund it or build it or whatever. But they look at us now and they're like, they can't believe it, because literally we're taking on Goliath. And you have to kind of have that crazy determination and grit to stay with it no matter what happens, because you know this is a proven idea. It's a proven product or proven service. You know it's going to work. You have to just stick with it. But it takes time. Like with my journey, you're going to have to wait 2 years to see an incredible upswing or upshift in your journey. So I think if you look in at least 2 to 3 year increments, you'll do really well. But you have to have that patience. I think that's number one.
It's so true. Man, I just wish I was better at patience. It's something that I've learned a lot over my own journey of 5-6 years. And
yep.
It's just one of those things you have to learn in the trenches. And it's crazy hard. But awesome. Well, what I want to do is I want to kind of take a brief pause and transition to see if anyone on the call here has any questions. Since we are only doing audio, we can always turn your microphone on if you guys want to come on and ask a question, or you can just put it in chat. You know, you have John here, you have Vlad here from CommerceHQ. We love to, interact with you live here, see, any questions, whether it's t-shirts, e-commerce, CommerceHQ. What are you guys looking at? What are you guys struggling with online right now that you can have two amazing entrepreneurs kind of give you maybe some feedback or guidance on? Dennis, I'm not sure what that means.
I don't speak Russian. Vlad might be able to, though.
No, Vlad could definitely help. It means hi.
There you go.
Awesome. Guys, do you have any questions at all? Just put it in the chat. We'll take a look at it. So Elizabeth says, great story. Does John have any recommendations for great fulfillment companies that handle shipping of physical products?
Yeah, great question, Elizabeth. I think there's really two answers to that question. Number one, if you're doing drop shipping, we just use AliExpress. A lot of the times we'll find vendors on there, we'll get them onto Skype, and we'll build that relationship out and make sure they're shipping out as quickly as possible. That's what I totally recommend if you're starting an e-commerce business. Start with drop shipping, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to be more fluid and move around if things don't work. You don't want to be stuck with a ton of inventory in a warehouse and employees and staff. It's going to be very, very costly. Don't recommend it. But in Q4, if you want to sell well into Christmas, into that season, definitely you can go look at stateside in the USA. Fulfillment companies like Whiplash or like Dollar Fulfillment, and they do very, very well to get your product in your customers' hands within 3 to 5 business days, US to US.
Well, that is a thorough answer. Elizabeth, does that help? And Anna, who's also on the call, also does all the show notes. So we'll make sure that we link some of these show notes up for you guys, and recommendations and stuff like that will be in there. Matt asks, what's the average load time for a CommerceHQ website? Pretty specific question, but good question.
Yeah, just like Vlad just answered here, there's too many factors to answer that in terms of product image sizes and your theme and whatnot. We're always improving the loading times with CommerceHQ. That's so critical for conversion. When you're running paid live traffic, you have to have those pages load as quickly as possible, especially on mobile, because 75% or more of your traffic is going to be mobile if you're running Facebook ads. So it has to look really good on your phone. It has to load super fast, and we're constantly improving those things. And like I said, some people are seeing double the conversion rate with CommerceHQ compared to Shopify just by moving over with the same products and same ads and everything.
That's a really interesting stat. And seeing how the world is going more mobile, do you think it's worth maybe even for you, this is just a total random thought, for you guys to do just like, do you guys design mobile first, knowing that? And do you design your landing pages mobile first or your shopping pages mobile first?
Yeah, it's not necessarily first, but it's definitely two separate things. So we look at mobile separately to desktop, and we make sure they both look and function really well on all devices. You know, whether that's Android or iPhone or feature phones or whatever, it has to work across the board, load fast and look good, and be able to check out quickly. This is the key that a lot of people don't understand. You know, simple things like having the add to cart or buy button above the fold, so you don't have to scroll to be able to actually add to cart on your phone. Like, that's a critical thing. You have to make sure things like this are built in with your theme or your product page.
That's awesome. That's really awesome to hear. Now, this isn't a question, but I just want to highlight Lucas's chat here. I got store formula in Jon's book, and I just want to say thank you for changing my life. Jon,
awesome.
That's awesome, man. Seriously.
Thanks, Lucas. Appreciate it.
That's really cool, man. I also have your book, and I actually went through it I already read it, but I just was going through it last night because I was going to shoot you a testimonial video, like I promised you. And,
nice.
I got distracted and totally forgot, so I'll do it today.
Cool. I appreciate that as well. Let's see what else they're saying here in the chat, guys. I'm just reading here.
Yeah, Tomas is asking, if you have CommerceHQ, is there a need of a Shopify subscription too, or is the CommerceHQ a standalone all-in-one solution?
Great question. So consider CommerceHQ its own total standalone e-commerce platform that fully replaces Shopify. So instead of you having to get a Shopify subscription, which on average is like $300 a month, plus you have to go and add on all these apps, you're going to be looking at $5,000 a year for your Shopify store with all your apps. That's what we see on average. Now, with CommerceHQ, you have all your apps built in, you have all your themes built in. Everything you need to succeed with e-commerce is going to be built in with CommerceHQ for you. And that's $1,000 for the entire year for up to 6 stores. Whereas on the financial aspect with Shopify, $5,000 for just 1 store. So that alone is huge. Just in the savings alone for financial aspect of your business is going to be a huge help, especially when you're starting off. Also, transaction fees, like Vlad is mentioning in the chat, up to 1% alone with Shopify. With CommerceHQ, there is 0 extra transaction fees. You only pay the transaction fee if you're using PayPal or Stripe, and that's it. We don't take any cut or anything on top of your sales.
Guys, make sure you guys put in any questions. I would love for you guys to ask questions. You have 2 great guys here from Vlad and Jon. Make sure you type them in chat. We'll take a look at them. Lucas is asking, is it possible to pay for CommerceHQ using PayPal?
Yeah, definitely hit up Vlad after, guys. Vlad at commercehq.com. He can get you guys set up and signed up with CommerceHQ. Again, we're still in private beta, so definitely hit up Vlad and he'll take care of you.
So I have a question for you.
Yep.
With everything that you've learned in the past 6 years from online marketing and stuff like that, what do you guys think will be your, you're in private beta, which is great. You have your list, which knows you, likes you, trusts you. You can do private beta, a little bit higher price. What do you guys think you're going to do now as far as marketing coming out? And how do you compete when you're going against a Goliath?
Yeah, great question. So I think there's really 2 ways to do it. And a lot of people do this. They have a huge public launch. They get a lot of affiliates on board, and they do, a 2-week launch window where they do tons of private webinars. And it's either like you make it or break it. It's either going to be huge, you're going to make millions, or you're going to make nothing. So we don't want to, the problem with that is you could actually have too many people come on too fast. And you want to make sure you have the support systems in place to handle that much volume and traffic and people. So I think it's more important to grow slow and grow smart, right? I think if you talk to any major business owner, even Facebook, I was just actually at the Facebook office in Toronto a couple of weeks ago, and my Facebook rep is like, I could bring another $50 million to the bottom line with the accounts I manage, but my leads are saying no, my team leads are saying no, we don't want to grow that fast. So a lot of companies will actually restrict themselves from growing, but grow at a steady pace. That's so important, is to grow month over month at a steady rate, rather than having these huge spikes in your business up and down one month and and another. So it's more important to grow steady over time. And I think if we can double the business year over year, we'll be in really, really good shape. So to that, we're going to be doing a slow rollout, public rollout sometime in the summer. And whether that's done through webinars or done through trials, I'm not sure yet, but it's definitely going to be a slow rollout. We're not going to look to do any massive launch or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say that's the right move, man. Slow growth. I mean, for us, especially at Demio, we've taken a very conscious effort to slow growth, or grow slow growth, whatever. We want to do that because, every time you bring on more customers, it gives you the ability to, like you said before, talk to them, learn from them, build the features in that they want. In SaaS, we call this the long cold winter, basically. And it's true. It's because SaaS is so cool. It's recurring. It's not exponential, but it's it compounds month over month. Yeah, exactly. So as you start, your traction initially is a little bit slower. You have, maybe not so, even at 40% month over month growth, your revenue isn't going to spike into the millions anytime soon, but you use this time to improve and grow and get better and put the right features in place. So I think it's a very smart move to do. And for those of you guys who are starting, whether it's SaaS or whatever, I also think the other key point that I would just add in is limit the amount of different marketing strategies and stuff that you want to do up front. It's easy to get distracted by 100 different ways to sell. Focus on one or two at a time and see if it works, and then move on to the next one if it doesn't. But I think it's kind of one of those issues where you can get overwhelmed too fast with marketing.
That's a huge, huge point, guys. Doesn't matter what business you're in. If you're selling products on Shopify or CommerceHQ, drop shipping, your own thing, whatever, doing a SaaS, focus is so critical as well. And that's a really good point you made, David. When we go out there and we test new product campaigns, whether we're testing 10 products or 20 products, we're just looking for one that works. And that's really the case with any business. It's like the 80-20 rule, but I think it's more like the 90-10 rule, right? So you have to go out and find just one thing that works and really focus on it hard and scale it up as big as possible. And I think that's going to be a lot more successful for you because you're going to have that focus on what's actually working and not get distracted by other shiny objects or something else in your business.
Totally agree. And we got lots of questions here flying in. Elizabeth said, you mentioned incorporating membership into CommerceHQ. Does that mean allowing businesses to create a membership site of some sort?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when we were looking at it originally, before we even started building CommerceHQ, we were like, look, we want the best of both worlds. We want to build a much better version of Shopify, but we also want to build a much better version of ClickFunnels, right? We want to take the best of both worlds, combine them into one. So you're going to actually be able to build a store, build a funnel, build a membership site or area where people can actually log in. You can charge them monthly like a continuity program and have the best of both worlds all in one platform.
I love that. And I never really got into e-commerce. There was like a moment where I did one physical product front end and I was just testing. I never really got too far into it. And then I did a digital membership as the upsell and had a really good funnel planned out. But is that kind of like the idea is that you can have the physical and the membership together?
Absolutely. I think we all have to start looking at things on a funnel basis. That's going to be the future for this year and next year is people really tapping into funnels, whether that's with your store or a membership area or whatever. You want to bring customers through a life cycle where they're buying multiple products or they're on continuity. And the whole idea of that is just to increase the lifetime value of your customer. We always try to get our customers spending at least $100 per year on our Shopify stores or your CommerceHQ stores. With e-commerce, that's what you probably should aim for. But that's how you want to look at it. How can I get people to spend more with my business? Because it's a lot easier to get those people who you've already acquired to spend more than going out and getting new customers, right? So a lot of people really forget or don't understand that aspect of business on the back end. So important to manage those customers properly.
100% agree. Totally agree, man. Norman asks, is CommerceHQ only integrated with Stripe payments or are we able to use their own, for example, authorized.net?
Yeah, so there's two options with CommerceHQ at the moment. You can use Stripe or you can use PayPal. Totally up to you. Or you can use both.
Awesome. And John, you just typed into chat. Guys, email Vlad for any information about joining the beta program, guys. It's right now, it's a closed beta, but email Vlad. The email is in the general chat here for you guys. It's vlad@commercehq.com. Mm-hmm. Lucas asks, if you have found a winning product, do you think it's possible to find another product to replicate that initial success within the same store?
If you found one, do you think it's possible?
I don't know if I understand that question.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible to find another product to replicate initial? Yeah. So again, Lucas, the idea, like I said, the 90-10 rule, if we test 10 products, we're going to find maybe one winner. And that's the ratio you want to look for on testing products. With testing ads, it's about a 30% win rate. So if you launch 10 ads, 3 of them should work. And if you have that mindset of 10% for product wins and 30% for ad wins, you'll be in much better shape, because now you'll know how many products you need to launch per day or per week, and how many ads you need to launch per day or per week to get your business to your goal or the level you want to get it to.
I think that's fantastic advice for pretty much anything in general in business, just understanding that it's a numbers game a lot of times, and kind of setting your expectations to understand that. I see so many people thinking they're going to put up one ad, they're going to do one sales page, they're going to do one version of everything, and it's going to work. Understand, guys, it is a numbers game, and you are playing the long game. Be okay with losing sometimes, because you'll find the winning one.
That's a huge point, David. And more to that, I see people when I go in, I got a consulting program called Blue Label. I haven't launched it yet, but I got a couple people in it. And even these guys who are spending, 10, 20, 30K a day on Facebook ads, some of them don't even know their numbers. They don't even track their numbers properly. I go in, I'm like, okay, what's your ROI yesterday? They're like, oh, I don't know. I think it's around this. And it just blows my mind. Guys, I don't care if you're making $1 a day or $1 million per day. You need to know your numbers and track your numbers inside and out on a daily basis. It's so critical, right? Because if you have a bad day, you don't know why. You're just kind of scrambling, trying to figure out, what happened? Why am I losing money today or whatnot? So really important to track your numbers. And that's really more to that point, that this whole thing is a numbers game. It's simple math, and knowing these ratios and win rates, et cetera, is going to help you immensely.
That's amazing. Just a couple final questions here, guys, because we're going to wrap up here at 4:00. Simon has a good question. What have you done to evaluate, choose, and connect with your core values personally in relation with your business's core value model and mission? I love that question.
That's definitely more of a question for Vlad to answer. He's a lot better with that kind of stuff. I don't think Vlad's actually on the call anymore. He
kind of disappeared.
So I think to that, he's there. Yeah, Vlad, you can definitely help answer that question. But I think the most important thing is to focus on the quality of the software and building it out exactly how customers want it, and making sure that it converts at an absolute max and people are getting results and making money with it. That's really the sign of success for CommerceHQ, is when people come onto the platform, they launch a store, they launch campaigns, and they start making money and earning profits, right? That's when we know the thing works and that they're happy and it's successful for them.
Totally. Love that. People are asking about autoresponders.
We have
CommerceHQ.
Yeah, we're just about to integrate Zapier, which will let you integrate with thousands of pieces of software, including Aweber, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, et cetera, et cetera. So Zapier will be the hook there to connect to other autoresponders. But like I said, in the future, we're looking to build in our own autoresponder right into CommerceHQ, which will give you the ability to create upsell campaigns, automation, the whole nine.
Amazing. Well, guys, any final questions? And again, take down the email, guys, Vlad at CommerceHQ. If you have CommerceHQ specific questions, you can email him there. He'll be there to help you guys out. Any last overall questions that you guys have that you want answered? And I guess, John, to that same point, what would you say kind of as a parting tidbit would just be kind of something that you would give as a final farewell piece of advice to people, whether they're just starting or they're already in e-commerce? What would you kind of give them as a mindset takeaway?
Don't be scared to test. Testing is the key to success in this business. You have to be testing every single day, and you have to be launching campaigns or ads every single day. The day you stop launching ads is the day your business dies. That's a direct correlation from what we've seen, people who make $100 a day or people who make $10,000 a day or more. It's the difference there is how many ads they launch on a daily basis, and having that constant activity in your business and not just sitting back and waiting for things to work or happen. It's a contact sport. You got to be out there. You got to be making things happen.
That's amazing. And remember, guys, when you're first getting started, there's always a little bit of fear doing something new. I've seen so many times people get scared to test because they're scared to lose money or to spend money, or they're not sure if they're doing it right. But action is the fastest way to get out of that mindset, because you'll get so stuck in your comfort zones. You got to take action and push yourself consistently. So consistent action will be great there. And remember that testing is part of the process. Finding products that don't work as part of the process, percentages. Yes. You're playing a numbers game.
Yep. It's a simple math game. And just remember, guys, whenever you're spending money on Facebook ads or any other ad platform for that matter, you're always buying data. You're always finding out what does and doesn't work. When you find things that do work, you can hone in and focus on those things and really crank up the volume and scale up big for what's actually working. So just remember, you're not losing money, you're buying data. And that's the really big mindset shift you need to have in this business.
Awesome. Well, I love that, Jon. I want to thank all of you guys so much for coming out to this call. Jon, thank you so much for joining us. It's 4:00 right now, so 4:00 Eastern, I should say. So I'll wrap up. But all of you guys, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope to see you guys all next week. Thanks a lot, Jon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, David. Appreciate it.
No problem. Bye, everybody.
See you later. You still there? Hello?